Dude, the declaration of change. The declaration of change is something that when we are going through our life and we notice that there is a thing that we want to change, right? For me, it was I want to stop doing, I want to stop smoking weed. I want to stop being hard on myself for the way that I look. I want to stop self-sabotaging towards actually doing the things that I want to do, creating the things that I want to create. And I want to actually step into this role of being the active participant, active creator in my life. I don't want to embody this victim mindset because dude, I had so much energy around being a victim for so much of my life. Mind you, I'm still young, but it was still there. There's this energy of the world is out against me, that I am alone, that nobody understands me, that I can't do these things because I'm not ready yet, or because of these other reasons of what other people are going to think. And it was this accumulated energy around not feeling worthy of actually going for the things that my soul is yearning for. And so for all of us, we all can feel that tension within us, that there are things that we want to do, yet hesitancy that pulls us back to some varying degree of that. Then one decides in a burst of motivation to declare change. And from that point on, they think it's just going to be effortless, that they made this outward projection of, I am no longer going to do this thing. I am finally going to start doing this thing. And then what happens when that anchor is not fully solidified is that time will go on and the subconscious mind begins to intervene and says, wait a minute. We're doing what? We're actually doing that thing that you want to do. That's adorable. Let's not do that. And why? Why do we do that to ourselves? Now, it could be the subconscious. Some people would call it demons. Some people would call it the other pendulums and forms of energy that are pulling us away from our truth. It doesn't really matter what you want to call it. The matter of the fact is that sometimes the things that we think are not always ours, they are conditions that were placed upon us. They are casts of the illusion that we live in this world from other participants of this reality, meaning other individuals are playing their part in this world, and they may project their own insecurities and insufficiencies onto us, and then we may unconsciously take those patterns as our own thought process, but it's not actually our own thought process. But nonetheless, a habitual process in the subconscious mind, the neurological path that is ingrained to participate in a specific way, it is challenging to go into a new course of direction. But this is where the essence of creating a practice in our life, a ritual in our life, really matters. That to engage with the life, engage with our lives as if it is ceremony, creating awareness and presence fully with so many things that we do. It's a practice game to be able to do this, and it's something that evolves as you evolve. And it may not always come super easily at first try. Very rarely does it come easily. And there's some things that do come easier than others, some habits, some things that are easier to course correct than others, but all of us have those deep-seated fucking monkeys on our back that are really hard to let go. And what that requires is ceremony, ritual, creating an essence of it's almost a sacred devotion to the thing. But this also then comes to mind is that we need to make sure that the thing that we are devoting to is actually the thing that is in our highest expression, that is in our true calling. When there was a period in my life where I worked a job, and I've talked about this before, but I worked a job for a few years in my life, and I was really trying to participate in it and let myself be involved in it because I was making great fucking money, and making money's great. It's awesome. It was fucking dope. I got a sick car. I had a really great apartment. I had all these things, but the work in and of itself was not nourishing my soul, and I knew that I was supposed to be doing other things. But I was trying to devote myself to this act, this cause that wasn't in true alignment for myself. And many people fall prey to that. They fall prey to the idolization of monetary gain, of status, of some kind of external validation form And yet what that creates is a disharmony within the psyche, within the soul essence of the individual, because deep down we all know what is our truth, what is the highest expression of ourselves. And when we deny ourselves the ability to act from that state, we are then creating this fractalized form of our psyche where the subconscious and conscious mind are always at war. I felt like I was at war with myself for years because I was not listening to what my soul wanted, and I was too consumed with what fear and ego were driving and pushing on me instead. And that created a lot of pain and agony within me and within my life. And then I would then project that onto other people and onto other situations. And now, mind you, I had to go through that to learn it, to alchemize it, so that I can be here in front of you, teaching you this thing, or helping guide you through your thing, or just being another person who's going through the similar journey as you, and you and I are just hanging out together. Whichever way and shape and form you want to use this content, it's up to you. I am just here to do what I feel called to do. You can take this however you need it to be, and I'm honored in that. But ensuring that we are devoting ourselves to the true cause of our soul requires a level of clarity, requires a level of clear seeing of who we are, what we want, what really matters. And so before one can genuinely create a declaration of change, there must be a clear sight forward on the path to Zion, so to speak, right? The holy mountain to climb towards. We have to understand why we're making the trek, because it will be challenging whenever we make the declaration of change. Like when I decided to stop smoking cannabis, when I decided to stop numbing myself and running away from my problems, when I decided to leave career fields that were no longer serving me and become self-employed and go on to this journey of discovering and creating my life, there have been and there will be moments that get real as fuck, because that's what life is like when you are actually living on your edge. It pushes you so that you can refine yourself and grow. But in moments when I was trying to devote myself to something based off of external validation and monetary gain, the struggle and the pain that I was enduring felt meaningless because it was not meaningful to me. Because it may be meaningful to another individual or another group of people, that does not mean that it has to fit for you or I. We know in the essence of our souls what is right for us. Yes, it does take some experimentation because we can have a hunch or we can have a curiosity about something, and then we will want to kind of go down that route a little bit, see what's going on, get a feel for it, but we have a right to leave. We don't have to stay committed to it, right? If there's any situation that you feel like you are obligated to stay, that is a lie, and that is a lie that is being imposed upon you. No matter how real or intense it may feel, it is still ultimately a lie. You have always the choice and the direction to choose the life that you want to live, and anything that makes you feel like you're a victim as such is just an energy force that is pulling and feeding off of your energy. So to claim that requires the ritual and the devotion towards your true path. Creating and finding your true path, as I was kind of saying, and I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit because, to be honest, I have a rough draft of like what I want to be talking about, but a lot of this is just kind of coming from the heart. So if you're bearing with me here, I appreciate you. But creating that devotion towards your truth path requires a little bit of experimentation, following those intuitive urges or what that somatic sensation is guiding you towards. And that does take practice, and that does take a little bit of trial and error. But ultimately, when you do find the thing, when you do feel that there is a cause or a worthy mission to go towards, we must make that a devotion. And a devotion not only to our highest expression, but as an offering to the world. Because when we are in service to other people, whether that service be an actual service of being a servant in the sense of doing work or callings that are in hospitality or in, working with people in coaching or, something along those lines, or you're an artist and you want to paint, you want to sing, you want to dance, you want to make music, or even if it's none of those things, even if it's something as working a job for a company that you feel aligned with, or just and none of that at all, and you just want to like mind your own fucking business and not deal with anybody and just live a silent solitude life, doing whatever feels called to you without necessarily like having to like literally be of service to people, but you living your highest expression in a genuine, authentic way that is not fueled by ego, narcissism, or validation of external environments, that is still an overall net positive for the collective, because more people investing their energy in doing the things that truly light their soul up rather than their ego will always be a net positive to the general collective of human beings and the consciousness of the planet. But once we have found that thing, and that time will come, if you have not found it already, keep exploring, keep diving, keep questioning, but not questioning in the sense of you have to sit down in contemplation and ruminating over the idea of it. It is an experiential thing that you must go out in the world and actually partake in. And through that, you will find what the thing is. And there's no timeline on that. It may take years, or it may take a week, it may take a day. It does not matter, as long as you're engaging in the action. But when you find the thing, and we create the declaration to change and orient our lives towards pursuing the thing, do not be surprised when the challenge comes of the subconscious mind, of the pendulums of life that have wanting and yearning to pull you in the direction of their favor, away from your truth and highest alignment. Because the self-sabotaging mechanisms that entrap us are there to, in some way, they think, keep us safe. Because when we are pressing and expanding on the boundaries of our known confinements, it's intimidating because we don't know where we're going. And there's always that mechanism that the human mind has cultivated a response to fearing the unknown, because fear is such a deeply rooted emotion and sensation in the human mind because of our early ancestors needing to feel that in order to provide safety. But we live in very different times right now. And yes, there are things to be concerned about. There are things that you want to make sure you are aware of and not ignorant to putting yourself into harm or danger. But most of the time, the things that fear the most when it comes to pressing upon our boundary of what our conscious mind is capable of is really just a false sense of fear. It is a false cueing of danger because it's just an unknown territory. But why creating it as a ceremony, a ritual, a devotion is so important is because that ceremony essence anchors you in. If the term ceremony doesn't resonate with you, then just use it in the sense of like when you're getting ready to play a sport, you show up to practice and you push yourself. And when it comes time for game day, you get locked in. You orchestrate yourself and we create a ritual. Sometimes some athletes create a ritual pre-game because it allows them to really lock themselves in. And this is what I'm talking about, so use whatever vocabulary that resonates with you. But when the subconscious comes in and pulls you back into previously behaved patterns, this is the opportunity to anchor yourself in your ceremony, ritual, patterns, meditation, to give yourself an anchor to stay grounded and stay clear and to not get pulled away off course. Because sometimes there's an impulse of desire that wants to pull you into shiny objects to satisfy a soothing sensation. For me, that was with cannabis. I was smoking to numb myself from feeling the sensations that I needed to feel. And I had adopted drug use from a really early age. And when I was, I made a video a while ago talking about like I was doing hard drugs in high school and like doing shit to really numb myself from my experience. And there was a little bit of curiosity too. I've always been a very curious person, but like a lot of that was fueled by just like pain and trying to numb and escape. But then as I got older, when I was in an environment that I didn't necessarily want to numb or escape myself from, but I would notice that every time a situation would get really intense, I would be pushing my boundaries of my conscious awareness, and my subconscious would want to instantly seek something to soothe. It would go towards that shiny object, and a lot of times that was just smoking and getting high and numbing myself. And Other people have different mechanisms: food, shopping, mindless sex, social media, little things like that. And so we have to stay anchored in our practice, knowing that devoting ourselves to something beyond and really pressing that edge of reality is going to test us in multiple ways, in many different ways. So I might be rambling now, so I think we could wrap this up with knowing that the subconscious mind will try to pull you into safety, and that it is not a wrong thing or it is not an error. It is something to partake with when you are truly living in your highest alignment and in your highest accord. And when you are acting from that state and you make it a devotion, something beyond you to show up for the thing that you feel called to, when those moments come where you feel the hesitancy and the fear and all the things, to not run away and to sit with it and be with it and create it as a sacred act, as a form of ritual and ceremony. To not be swayed from the impulsive, shiny objects that may try to soothe you temporarily, but in the long run pull you deeper away from the truth. But that the only way through the situation is to go headfirst in. Just as the buffalo and the cow. The buffalo will sense a storm and go headfirst through it to get through it faster. Whereas cows will run away and tire themselves when the storm will eventually still hit them. But it'll hit them and they'll be tired and it'll be much more uncomfortable. So, if this helped, leave a comment. If you're listening to this on Spotify, leave a comment as well. I don't really fucking know what you would say for Spotify, I guess. Share with a friend, something like that. I appreciate you for listening. If you did find something of value, tell me what you did find of value. Tell me what your devotion is. What is the thing that you are yearning to do that you have been afraid to do, but you are now ready to declare and claim as yours? And what are you going to do to actually devote yourself to that? Much love, my friends. Have a wonderful day.